My favorite part about going to Johnson's Island was being able to see the graves and to be able to experience like the history and the background of the island.
Johnson's Island's a prison that the Union built in the fall of 1861 and early 1862, and it's the only prison that the Union actually designed as a prisoner of war facility to house all captured prisoners, both officers and enlisted.
Reuben Stout was a traitor to the Union. He pretty much just abandoned the army. He was killed by firing squad in front of the courtyard in front of all the soldiers.
Hamilton was an Indian, the only Indian on the island state that was there as a prisoner. He was buried supposedly in a metal coffin where everyone else is buried in wood, and he has several icons engraved into his gravestone, including a tomahawk that they put in there as respect. And they really questioned whether he was going to go to heaven or hell because he was an Indian.
Sergeant John J. Nickel. While his tombstone today says surgeon, he wasn't a surgeon, he was a sergeant. This was because the original crew who buried the dead prisoners of Johnson's Island used wooden posts and wood rots. Therefore, the writing became incredibly hard to read.
Today we're working inside block number 8, and we're trying to recover artifacts that fell through the floorboards of block 8, which was a general housing block for the prisoners. The special thing about block 8 is that it also contained the theater that the prisoners used for their presentations, known as the Rebellionians. So we also may find artifacts related to that.
I chose to do my project on the theater, and it was used for block 8, which is very important because that's where we excavated. And it gave us the opportunity to find other things, like women's buttons, for instance. You wouldn't find those because there weren't women in the prison, but because they were part of costumes, it was great. There were 2 groups that performed there, and they were the Island Minstrels and the Rebel Thespians.
How we prepared for Johnson's Island was through a multitude of projects and papers with information on them. Notably, my favorite project was something called In Colors. We took a black and white picture, and we were supposed to write it from a first-person view of someone who was there, such as the Battle of Antietam.
And the big project we're doing right now is we are on board with the Follow the Fish Art Initiative, which is part of an activity in Stocker Center. And all my students were assigned a medium, which was a fish that looked like one of the artifacts that was excavated on Johnson's Island. And their mission was to share with the public one concept about Johnson's Island that the public doesn't know about.
I learned about Joel Barnett. I chose Joel Barnett because my name is the same as him, obviously. I learned that he supposedly was Joel Barnett, but it's either Joel Barnett or Joel Bennett. As the tombstone says Barnett, but on the memorial it says Bennett. So I further questioned who he was, what his identity was from that.
We found 2 fishing, which we think are fishing hooks, just this past Tuesday. Dr. Bush nor myself have even seen an artifact like it looks like a fishing hook.
What we found on Johnson's Island was a multitude of objects relating to the building itself. Notably, there were bricks, nails, and glass.
On Johnson's Island, I did not find any really cool artifacts, but I did find a piece of frosted glass, which could have been a part of a lantern.
I found a field specimen, and it was a piece of a pipe.
I found on Johnson's Island a button from a Confederate soldier.
It wasn't just dirt that we were kind of digging. It was more like history that we were digging up.
And no one writes to me. The list is called, and one by one, the anxious crowds now melt away. I linger still and wonder why no letters come from me today. Are all my friends in Dixie dead, or would they all forgotten be? What have I done, what have I said, that no one writes to me? Will no one write to me in just one line to say that I'm remembered yet? Could I but hear from some kind friend, whose face I never again may see? Will someone now my anguish end? If someone doesn't write to me, I'll get exchanged.